Wilson Morales from Black Film TV. Hello, folks. How's it going?
Hey, Wilson.
I first thought this was a movie, but then it was a series. I said, okay, I got a couple more hours. I can see where it goes.
All right.
What led you to take on the project, Eric?
Well, the writing's good, and when the material's good, then you start looking into under the hood a little bit and start looking at characters and the other characters and how they interact, the dynamics, and if there's anything interesting I could bring to the role. If I can't, what's the point in doing it? And then, logistics factor. It's nice to be able to work at home and go home and sleep in my bed.
Just what about yourself?
Yeah, like Eric said, when I met Derek, obviously I knew his track record and his pedigree spoke for itself. Getting into the story, it seemed unique. It seemed like something that I would watch on TV, and so to get my grips into something that I was already a kind of a fan of the idea of. And then it panned out really well with character development, storyline, relationships, and how everything kind of came together. I just thought was really dynamic and unique, and something that I wanted to be a part of.
When you take on a role, do you take stock into the character you're playing? In terms of the background, so you can have an idea. Because there are people who kind of do this in real life. Do you take that into effect when you start playing these characters, especially for a series as opposed to a movie?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I would think that
Like, was there a consultant on there? Like, it's a fictional
yeah, for
story, but
sure. Absolutely.
We had a consultant. We had a couple actually on set, and then I actually went ahead and prior to starting the filming, I had several conversations with a variety of different uh, folks from law enforcement to special forces, and had kind of got an idea of what real world task force we're dealing with, and what kind of real world logistics would happen and would occur within those kinds of stories. And so I felt like I got a good picture painted for me in real life circumstances, real world circumstances that I could then use and kind of apply to the job.
Eric, you're like the overseer of these things. Did you want to get into combat at some point?
I was happy to be calling the shots.
You didn't want to
Yeah.
fight like Eric does.
No, I hang on. I told Jensen is so great at that stuff. I'm gonna let him do it.
And so, just when you get your scripts, do you say how much of it is like going to be stunt double, or can I do some of this stuff?
I mean, I enjoy doing it, and there were some stunts and some things that were just kind of out of my what would it like insurance possibilities. Like they're not going to let me do certain things, but there were other things where I was like, well, if I can do it, like let's do it, because it adds to, a shot doesn't have to be broken up because there's the doubles in there and you can't see their face or whatever. And so I figure as much as I can get done, it just saves as much footage as possible for the editor. But also like having those doubles there to really take the big hits or do the big gags that they wouldn't necessarily let me do. There was a lot of driving that I would normally have wanted to do,
They wouldn't allow you to do
but
it.
they wouldn't let me do it because it's, an insurance situation where they got to have a stunt driver drive it because they were driving real streets, live streets. Also, I think it was a logistical thing. They could send a second unit off and get a lot of those driving stuff done while we were shooting scene work on main unit. So, but yeah, I tried to do as much as I possibly could. I just think it adds to the show as a whole.
Hey, people are going to kick out of this because obviously there's a lot of you guys that have a fan base and they want to see you try something new and different. And this is an action-packed series. I'm happy for it. It's good seeing you guys. We'll talk down the road.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate you.
Wilson Morales from Black Film TV. How's it going, folks?
Amazing. Thank you
Great.
so
How are
much.
you
You know,
doing?
good. Jessica, you've been working a lot of jobs. I'm always going to remember from that one episode on Law and Order. good for residuals because they always play it
Yeah.
almost every week.
Come
Now, goes,
on.
when I saw you, goes, I remember her.
Yes. Get those residuals. Come on.
You know, but here we are, new show, new series. What led you to say yes to taking on this project?
I read the script and was slapped in the face by the first scene in which we meet my character, Amber Oliveris. It was just like a gut punch with how amazing it was, how exciting, how terrifying. Like, who is this woman for whom this is just another day and another day on the job, And I was really intrigued by her, a person of that caliber, of strength, of ability. And I was in from that first scene.
Violet?
I was also in from your first scene.
Thank you.
I mean, it's so cool. It's she's such an amazing character. But yeah, I think I just fell in love with the world itself. I fell in love with the fact that it showcased Los Angeles as a whole. I thought all the characters offered such a different aspect, and that you were able to not only build a show that is exciting to watch and makes you like curious what's going to happen next, but also it's interlaced with all of these interpersonal relationships between these characters, and it has so much heart and it stands for something. And I just, yeah, I was drawn in by the whole thing.
Do you take stock into the characters you're playing, whether it be a lawyer or a law enforcement officer? Like, so do you get into that world, even though it's just the character, but there are people that do these jobs?
Mm.
That's probably my it's pretty up there. I don't know if it's my favorite part. I have a lot of favorite parts to the job that I'm fortunate enough to do, but I love learning about the real people for whom, these careers, these lifestyle choices are real life. I love learning about what it takes to be somebody like that, the tenacity, the drive, the fearlessness, the courage, the sacrifice. And I love connecting to how that shows up in a person. What are the habits that they take on? What crafts their ability as a human being? It's so delicious to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you're saying about sacrifice is so real. Like you think about all the people that are undercover for however many
Yeah.
years or trying to like, break into some gang or some sort of
Yeah.
thing, and they have to like emulate that for so long.
Yeah.
And no wonder sometimes people get lost in it because
Yeah.
it takes a certain person. It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Fascinating.
When you do a series like this, how often are you doing your own stunts, or do they have somebody else doing it for you?
Listen, I would love to sit here and be like, no, I do my own stunts and I don't want to brag about it. I am so happy to turn my stunts over to our amazing stunt actors and actresses, our stunt coordinators.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for what they do. It is a craft, it's an art. It's so difficult and so precise and beautiful. I let them have at it.
Yeah.
Please.
Really?
You
So
look good.
at no point do you read the script and it says, does it say in there, stunt person? Or do you say to yourself, oh, I'm going to have to do this?
You know,
You
I
did some stuff.
I did listen, I don't want to
Yeah.
like you take too much
Oh.
credit. Just trying. I don't want to take too much credit away from myself. If there's something that
Yeah.
I feel comfortable doing, I would love to, especially with Derek. Derek loves the realism. He wants, to see our face while we're doing, some of these action
And
shots
you've
and
been
stuff.
fighting and like
Yeah.
you trained like
Yeah.
like crazy.
I got in there.
Yeah.
My thing is, I don't want to get hurt and slow down production. You know what I mean? So, like, because that would not be good. So, if it's something that's outside of my depth, I'm like, come on, y'all. Time to shine. Happily.
Hey, people will get a kick out of the series. Congrats on the roles. Congrats on the series.
Thank you
Let's
so
keep it
much.
going. We'll talk down the road.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Have a
much.
good one.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. What's going on, guys?
How
So
you
Wilson,
doing,
nice to
man?
meet you.
Now, do you take stock into the characters you're playing? Everybody's coming in from different shades of enforcement. So when you think about the people who are playing these, who do this in real life, do you take stock? Did you do your own research, or is it all on the page?
I think everything that we need is fundamentally on the page. Derek's really good at that. But also it can be fun to dip your toe into a bit of the real world to, if you want to inform a bit extra life for your character. I did some of that with FBI, mainly looking at training, what it entails, what the fitness tests are, what kind of person you want to be if you would commit yourself to it, things like that. But mostly Derek did the hard work for us, which is great.
What about you, Willie? Did you do any research, or is it
No,
all on the
mate.
page?
No, it was mostly on the page. He's very similar to who I am, a father and husband and that kind of thing. Luke Finau works in the gang unit, so they don't have much ride-along experiences for gang unit for the LAPD. So fortunately, a lot of the work was on the page.
Everybody's always looking for work. What was the one ingredient had you say yes? Was it the location, who you're working with, the role you had?
Paying the bills.
People like to say all of it, but what's the one ingredient that had you say yes?
Not that one. Not allowed to though.
Okay. I said pay the bills, but no, I mean, and truthfully, there is some truth to that. Just the gratitude of being able to work as an actor, especially at this time, to work in Los Angeles, to work in a genre like this, to work with Derek Haas. That was it for me.
Yeah, it was huge. Same things too. The genre as well. It was fun. It was a new, exciting challenge for me. Once I knew I had this opportunity and felt very grateful for it, it was very exciting to get stuck into more of an action-forward, action-heavy, like crime thriller. It's not something I've been able to do in this way. So that's been a really fun time.
The show centers on these characters who are coming in from different areas of law enforcement. Much like actors, when they get put together in a film, some know each other, some don't. What did you guys do as actors to get along before production started?
We shared a lot about our trauma. No, we didn't really have any one specific thing that we did. We had dinner one time in the beginning. We had a meeting prior to the read of the script, but genuinely it happened fairly organically. So we didn't really have anything set.
Yeah, no, there wasn't a lot of hard work to do or really any work to enjoy each other. Everyone's just genuinely quite easily enjoyable. We just got on with it, and it was it was easy to have a good time.
There's a lot that's coming out this summer, whether it's movies or series. What's going to get an audience to watch this countdown?
Hit them.
I mean, look at what you're dealing with right here. Sleeveless. It's all here.
I'll be the opposite of sleeveless in the show, so don't you worry about that. I'm very well wrapped up.
The first time I heard about it, I said, somebody told me they got Dwayne Johnson in the series. I was like, no, it's that guy.
Well, the budget wasn't there for DJ, but they chose young DJ.
They left that part out.
Look, we set out, Derek's kind of North Star was that we would make something that was fun, enjoyable, entertaining for people at home. So that's really been our thing, and hopefully we've done it.
Yeah. Hey, you got me enthralled. The minute I started seeing it, I initially thought it was a movie. So then it was a series. Like, keep going, keep going, keep going. It definitely will have you going. Whether it's a weekly series or binge worthy, people will check it out. Congrats on your roles. Congrats on the series. We'll talk down the road.
Thank you very much.
Man. Thank you so much.
Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. Hey, Derek, how's it going?
Hey, Wilson, how are you?
Good. Happy early birthday. It's coming up pretty soon.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
So you're wearing a lot of hats for this show. He's the writer, the creator, the producer. He probably gave himself a fake name. He's probably the editor, the cinematographer. How did this all come about?
No, that's not true. I have great Los Angeles-based crew and post-production that were incredible. I will say there's no I in Countdown. There's a team, and it was really a team effort to make this show. But it came about because I was talking with the good people over at Amazon, and I was like, I loved movies from the 80s, like Die Hard and Lethal Weapon and Raiders of the Lost Ark, just action movies that had a fun energy and spirit. And I want to try to bring that to Amazon Prime Video. So that's how it started.
You said you started throwing in the 80s. One of my all-time favorites, guilty pleasures, Delta Force.
Oh, yeah, and Delta Force. Any of those Chuck Norris ones I also loved.
Yes. So when initially I thought this was a movie, but then I saw it was a series. I said, okay, because if it's a movie, we've seen it. We know how it's going to play out. When it's a series, you got to stretch it out. You got
Yeah.
to give these characters. So, some of these characters are flawed. It's like, so, as you was putting this together, this ragtag team
Yeah.
from different enforcement agencies, how do you make it work? How do you make them all work together?
Yeah, I thought that would make for a compelling series that they did come from different enforcement agencies with different backgrounds and different personal, problems that they're going to have to put aside for the greater good. And to me, that's what makes good television is surprise and conflict, but that the countdown wasn't just about, oh my God, Los Angeles is in danger, but it's also this internal countdown that's happening in their personal lives. Almost every character has their own countdown going on. And I thought that's what will bring audiences back episode after episode.
Is there a lead in there? I know you have some of these characters we know of, and some of them, we're being introduced of. But when you're putting this together, at what point do you say, okay, I'm going to have this character be center stage, but then, draw back and then let somebody else take center stage per episode?
That's the great thing about working with an incredible ensemble and really getting lucky that I got to work with such an amazing cast is that any of them can step forward and take that story. And to me, it becomes almost thematic. What do I want this episode to say? Oh, well, it's different for a family guy, let's say, to leave his family each morning and go out and do this dangerous job. Let's do an episode about that. Oh, it's different for this guy who's more of a lone wolf. Let's do an episode about that. And when you have such a great cast, you can do that without having to only focus on one character the whole way through.
At the end of the day, there's a lot of movies that's coming out on the summer. There's a lot of shows and movies coming out on streamers. What's going to get an audience to watch Countdown?
Oh, I'm hoping that it's a countdown summer because it's like a popcorn show. It's like a popcorn movie almost where you get to come back each week and hopefully I'm going to surprise you. But the reason why I think you're going to watch it is that the characters are inviting, they're fun, they have a bounce in their step. It's not as cynical as most shows are in the last few years. So I think it's fun, and I think that's why people will keep watching Countdown.
Hey,
That's my hope.
congratulations. Congratulations. You got it off your back sometimes when you have an idea, make it come to fruition. Pat yourself. You got it
Oh,
done.
thank you very much. Great to
Take
meet
care.
you.
Mhm.